friends, Laura here from Lalo Yoga and Wellness. Welcome to your practice today. This practice will be on the physical side, similar to some of the basic movements that we're all accustomed to doing. So nothing new there, but what I would like to invite you to do is take this practice and make it one that's about noticing and observing. One of the critical things in yoga is, how do I take what I'm doing here on my mat and have it really help me off the mat in my life? And so one of the things that was really helpful in that respect is taking the time to notice and pay attention to how our body is feeling in different situations, how our mind is working in different situations. A lot of times we are just sort of barreling through life and reacting to things around us. If we took a moment to check in with our bodies, we'd start to get signals from our body to let us know that maybe we're feeling tense or anxious or challenged. And the same thing with our mind. If we take some time to observe our thoughts, see if they're really true, get curious about why we think the way that we think, then that can alert us to be better prepared in responding to the situations that we come across versus that reactive way that we sometimes tend to behave. So as we move through today's practice, I'd like you to see if you can check in with your body and notice when you're feeling tense, when something feels challenging. Figure out why. Same thing with your thoughts. Are you thinking, I want to go faster, I want to go slower, I want to get out of this position? Whatever it is, checking in with your body and your mind, noticing and observing, making micro adjustments if needed. That's what's going to help you off the mat and really embody what yoga truly is. Let's get started. Set yourself up into any seated position that you feel comfortable in. Could be bound angle, that's where I usually like to start. Maybe you're cross-legged, maybe a staff pose, just whatever feels good to you. And we're going to start practicing our observation and noticing. First with our bodies, maybe noticing if you're feeling a little bit tight, even just noticing where your body is touching the floor, each point that's touching. Maybe you're feeling hot, maybe you're feeling cold, maybe you're hungry, maybe you're tired. Whatever it is, let's pay attention to how the body is feeling right now. If you'd like, you can let your eyes softly close. That's up to you. Sometimes we feel better with our eyes open. Check into that. How does it feel? Why do you feel that way? Starting with that noticing and observing. Then we start to move into our thoughts, paying attention to what's running through our heads right now. Remembering that thoughts are just thoughts, they aren't facts. You don't have to engage with every thought. You don't have to believe every thought. You can choose which thoughts are meaningful to you. So first, just noticing what the thoughts are, observing them, finding some curiosity behind them. And then we come into our breath, feeling it come and go through the body without any effort, it just happens. Then we start to direct our breath, making it deeper, fuller, longer. And we start to connect the body to our breath, letting ourselves sit taller as we breathe in, allowing our muscles to soften and relax as we breathe out. We start to connect our mind to our breath, keeping our focus on the breath. And whenever our thoughts start to wander away, which they always do, we just come back to the breath. No judgments, just reminding ourselves to come back to that breath. On your next exhale, allow your mouth to open and sigh your breath away. And let it become a signal that you're about to bring the body into movement with our breath. We start by taking a deep breath in, reaching the hands out and up. Maybe we follow those fingertips with our eyes. Exhale, dropping the chin. Let's take another deep breath out and up. And we exhale. One more time. Inhale. This time dropping your left hand to your right knee and taking your right hand behind you. So take a gentle seated twist. Use your right arm to support your back just a little bit. Sit taller as you breathe in. Exhale, take that little twist. Check in with your body. How does that twist feel? Is it tight? Does it feel loose? Is it comfortable? Is it uncomfortable? Just notice how it's feeling. Come back to your breath. Inhale, sweep both hands toward the front. Exhale, dropping the right hand to the left knee. Left hand behind you, find that little seat back. Noticing if the twist feels different on this side. It might. It's not unusual for us to come into similar situations, but feel it differently in our body or respond to it differently in our thoughts. Inhale, let's reach both hands high one more time, facing front. Exhale, let those hands drop. Let your chin drop. Lace the fingers at the base of your spine. Start to hinge forward through the hips as we lift up the arms toward the ceiling, finding a gentle stretch across the chest. Let the shoulder blades slide toward your hips and release your neck. Exhale, allow those hands to come down to the base of the spine. We're going to reach our hands toward the front of our mat and push our hips back toward the heels and come into a child's pose. We're going to keep that arms outstretched, bringing our forehead toward the mat, knowing that child's pose is a place we can come anytime we want to regroup, we need to recover. Maybe your forehead is on a block, maybe it's all the way to the floor. Press your hands up just a little bit and slide your body forward. Lowering down, hands right underneath the shoulders. Extend the elbows about halfway, taking your gaze straight ahead for baby cobra. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, pressing back toward child's pose. Exhale as the hips come down to the heels. Inhale, sliding forward. Moving past baby cobra into full cobra, extending the arms, lifting the gaze. Check into your lower back right now. And if this feels like too much for your lower back, allow yourself to return to baby cobra. Listening to those bodily cues and doing what's right for your body. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, pressing those hips back toward the heels, child's pose. Sliding forward, this time adding on to that full cobra by lifting the legs off the ground to come into up dog. Lift that gaze. Noticing how it's feeling. Let your knees drop to the floor to come into a kneeling plank. And we start to walk the hands back until our hands are under the shoulders, our knees are directly underneath our hips. We come into our tabletop pose. Take a quick look down, make sure you can see the mat between your fingers. Anytime you want to break for those wrists, you can come up onto the knuckles. Checking into the space between our shoulders and our ears, giving some length there. Noticing where the knees are touching the mat, the tops of the feet are touching the mat. Inhale, lifting the gaze, dropping the belly, tipping the hips up. Exhale, scooping the hips under, rounding the spine, tuck the chin, gazing at the thighs. Cat, excuse me. Inhale, coming back to cow. Exhale, coming to cat. And returning to tabletop. Let's tuck the toes under, lift the knees off the floor, and start to slowly walk the feet toward the top of the mat. Big toes together, space here at the heels. Find some length in your legs to come into a forward fold. We want to take our gaze toward our knees. Maybe we bring the hands to assist our chest in getting closer to the thighs, or maybe we're just letting those hands fall to the floor. You have choices. See how it feels in your body. And then we tent our fingers on the front of the shins, lift the upper body till it's parallel to the floor. Nice and long through the spine once again. Exhale back into the forward fold. Inhale, rolling up. One vertebra at a time. Little bit of a squeeze through the hips, gently pressing the hips forward to unload the low back. Take a little roll up, back, and down. Pause here for a moment. Check into the body. Notice any different feelings that are going on. Come back to your breath. Inhale, lifting up through your left leg, coming to a standing staff pose. Our goal is to bring the knee level with the hip. So we could be putting our hand around the knee to help with that, or even resting your foot on a block. You have the option to extend your leg out, whichever feels best to you. Let's go ahead and begin to send that left leg back about a 3/4 of a step. Put the toes down, pivot slightly so you're at a 45-degree angle in that left foot. Right knee is still bent. We're going to find an arrow mudra, lacing the last 3 fingers, bring the pointer and thumb together, push the hips forward, lift the arms high to come into a warrior 1. Maybe we release the hands if that feels more comfortable for our shoulders. Take the cues from your body and don't force it. Working to your edge is not the same as forcing yourself into a position. So find your edge, doing your best. Let the hands slip down to the base of the spine, lacing the fingers, and we start to hinge forward from the hip, bringing your right shoulder to the right knee, and we allow those hands to drift toward the ceiling, coming into humble warrior. Your gaze is all the way at the back of the mat, letting your head hang. Bring the hands back down to the base of the spine. Let's plant both hands at the inside of your right foot. Take a bigger step back with the left foot. Turn your right toes out about a 45-degree angle and let your right knee fall out to the side to come into a lizard pose. So you're on the edge of your outer right foot. You might have your knees down, your left knee down. You might be down on your forearms. Again, taking the cue from your body. Let your body lead you where you need to go. And now we flatten out that right foot. Start to walk your hands toward the long edge of your mat, keeping your right knee bent. Hands come up high on that right thigh. Your feet are parallel to the short edges of your mat. We're in a high side lunge. Keep the chest up a little bit. Nice deep breath in. Exhale, shift your weight toward the back of your mat. Lean into your toes just a little bit, and we face the back edge of the mat, coming into a runner's lunge. So we want a nice long line from the crown all the way down through the heel. That back heel stays off the ground. And we're very strong all the way through the spine. Bend the back knee, push off, coming into a standing splits. Taking your gaze toward your left knee, we're lifting high and long through the right leg. Exhale, plant your foot. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep all the way out and up. Let's bring our hands here to heart center and take a pause. Lacing your last 3 fingers, coming into that arrow mudra one more time. Inhale, scoop down, then back up, upward salute. Stay with your breath. Exhale into forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, bring the knees directly underneath your hips, cow and cat. Returning to table, tuck the toes under. Slowly walk those feet toward the top of the mat. Halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep out and up. Exhale, hands coming to heart center. Let's take a breath right here. Just pause. Check into the body. Check into the mind. Reconnect with your breath. Inhale, lifting the right leg high. Find your standing staff. Same options. Maybe you're resting the foot on a block. Maybe your leg's extended. Maybe your hands are giving you a helping hand. Let's begin to send that right leg back 3/4 of a step. Pivot out to a 45-degree angle. Find your arrow mudra. And begin to lift up into your warrior one. Maybe the hands are apart, maybe the hands stay together. Checking in with your body, honoring how it feels. Observing the thoughts running through your head. Being curious about why you think what you think right now. Let's release those hands, bring them down to the base of the spine, lacing the fingers. Start to lift the hands up as we hinge forward. Left shoulder to the left knee, or maybe inside the left knee. If you're feeling extra stretchy, gaze toward the back foot, humble warrior. Hands come down to the base of the spine and we release the fingers. Bringing both hands now to the inside of your left foot. Bigger step back on the right, straightening out that foot. Turning the left toes out at a 45 and letting the left knee drop out to the side so we can rest on the outer edge of the left foot. Maybe the right knee comes down. Maybe we keep the toes tucked. Maybe we're on the forearms. Try to mirror what you did on the other side and notice the differences in how it feels in each side of the body. Finding that space along the neck. Go ahead and flatten out that left foot and start to turn towards the long edge of the mat. High lunge or option, coming down into that low surfer's lunge. You could be using your fingers to help aid with your balance or challenging your balance. Doing your best. Noticing how it feels in your body and in your mind. We'll lean forward a little bit into the toes. Shift your weight toward the top of the mat. High or low lunge. Your decision. Leaning into the toes a bit, turning toward the top of the mat, find your runner's lunge. Letting the hips sink down, finding that long line crown to tailbone. Letting the back knee bend, standing splits. Bringing the legs side by side, halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale, sweep out and up. Exhale, hands come to heart. Take a breath. Arrow Mudra. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, plank, either on those knees or the toes, lower down. Baby cobra, full cobra, or up dog. Sitting back into table. Pause here. Take a full breath in and out. Find your cow and cat. And returning to table. Flip the feet to the left, hands to the right, move into seated. Let's take the legs out nice and long here. Feet are active, legs are active, we're sitting tall. Reach the hands out toward the side. As you start to roll down one vertebra at a time, allow your chin to tuck to protect your neck. Reach the hands overhead. Take a big stretch. Let's bring those hands out to the sides like the letter T and bring our feet flat on the floor. Take your feet to the edges of your mat and start to windshield wiper the knees side to side. Unload the back, check into the hips. A little bit of hip mobility here. Hips store a lot of energy, both good and bad. So a little bit of hip mobility helps release some of the stuff that gets stuck in our bodies. Let your knees drop to the right and pause right here. Option, if you want, take your right heel to the outside of your left knee to deepen the stretch. Just make sure both shoulders stay anchored to the floor. If you want more of a twist, take a look over your left fingertips. If your head is turned to the side, bring it up to the center. Release that extra weight if you put it on there, and then bring both knees to the center for a moment and begin to windshield wiper side to side. This time letting the knees drop to the left. Same options, extra weight if you want it, extra twist if you want that. And if that head is turned, bring it back to neutral. Remove that extra weight if you used it. Let's bring the knees back up to the center. Reset the spine if you need to. A couple more windshield wipers. And bring those knees to the center. Bring both knees into the chest now. Hands on top of those knees. Draw them in close. Take a deep breath. Let your belly push the legs away from you. Exhale, draw the knees close. Come back to neutral and begin to rock gently side to side. Noticing how the floor helps you release some of that tension in your back. Start to circle those knees around. Observing any spots that feel a little bit tight, maybe pausing on that spot, and again, noticing how the support of the floor helps you with that release of any tension. Take the circle around the other way. And then returning to neutral. Let those feet come down to the floor at the edges of the mat. Let your knees fall together and the arms just drop to the floor. Finding your restorative pose for a couple of breaths. And as we start to move into Shavasana, you can stay in restorative pose, you can move into corpse pose, you can move into any position that you enjoy that feels good to you. We start that systematic check-in with the body, starting at the crown of the head. If you feel any tension across the forehead, letting it go. Releasing all the muscles around your eyes and your jaw. Just smoothing out your face. Smoothing out the throat. And letting the neck start to relax. Moving that down into the shoulders, all the way down the arms to the fingertips. Noticing if you have a hard time letting go of tension in your arms or your neck or your shoulders. Maybe you're storing tightness there. Be curious about it and be intentional about trying to release it. We start to move into our chest, slowing the heart, slowing and deepening our breath. And bringing that softness down to your hips, all the way through the legs to your toes. We focus on our exhale, drawing it out longer than the inhale. So we can activate that parasympathetic system in our body. That's the one that helps us calm down and return to a state of calm and peace. Please feel free to stay in your Shavasana for as long as you would like. Whenever you feel ready, you can begin to slowly bring yourself back into awareness, returning to a seated position, letting the chin drop toward the chest. Slowly moving that chin to look over your left shoulder. Come back to the chest. Looking over the right shoulder. Chin to the chest. Gradually opening the eyes. Taking one final deep breath out and up. Exhaling those hands to heart center. May you find peace in your thoughts, kindness in your words, and hope in your hearts. From my heart to yours. Namaste. Hope you enjoyed today's practice, a little bit of a different intention with our practice, but really something that will hopefully help you out off the mat into your everyday life. If you did enjoy this work, please go ahead and comment, like, and share down below. Subscribe so you don't miss any future practices. I'll see you on the mat then.